welcome back to another video. So this is another exciting one, baking related of course. So I was recently asked by quite a few people how I cost my bakes. Someone asked if I could make a video on it, if I have any spreadsheets or apps that I use. Some people use apps to calculate. I actually made my own spreadsheet. If you don't know, I have an accountancy background, so I just love spreadsheets. But yeah, so I'm going to be showing you through my spreadsheet, explaining it all, but I'm going to be going through a few things that you need to consider first. I have got my little notes here, just of a few kind of questions you need to ask yourself and like check, and then that all comes into how you cost your bakes. So we're going to get right into it. Before I go any further, I just wanted to quickly announce that I'm going to be doing a spreadsheet pack. I get asked so many times for copies of my spreadsheets. I don't mind, giving you tips and stuff, but I thought that rather than me sending like you a photo or something and then you have to still write it out yourself and you have to have an understanding of like formulas for the costing side, at least it means that you can have a template and you can just edit the formulas. So everything will come in the template, including formulas, stuff like that. All you have to do is amend the amounts, which I'll get into when we get into the spreadsheet. But I have formulas that calculate like the amount of butter I use in a recipe and then the cost of that amount, so that you're putting in the exact cost rather than saying I roughly use a pack of butter. You might not use an exact 250 grams. This way you're getting exact costs for your items, so you know how much you're making. So yeah, there's going to be allergen list, my cleaning schedule in there, my temperature checks, there's going to be an invoice, and also a receipt, because I've made them because I've got a few wedding bookings, so I use them for those. I typically don't use them for anything else unless it's like a 2-tier cake, then I would use it for that. Anything that's sort of like over £100 or near to 100, then I would do an invoice for. But yeah, and there's also some order logs on here, so it's going to be one big spreadsheet, and then there's also a couple of Word documents, and it will also come with a information document, like an A4 Word document, which will be instructions on how to fill it all out. I'm planning to do a little walkthrough on YouTube as well, for anyone that doesn't want to read through, because if it's quite a few pages, some people prefer just to watch someone do it. So yeah, and obviously if you buy the pack, then you'll be able to kind of walk through it with me and fill out your spreadsheet, whereas otherwise it will be a bit difficult for you. So yeah, that's going to be on Etsy, and I think it's going to be either $4.99 or $5.99, only because I've added a few extra spreadsheets to it, so that's the only reason why I was going to add a little bit more. And obviously it's all my time to make these spreadsheets and do all the instructions and do all these videos for you. So if you are interested in buying, then there will be an Etsy link down below, which will go to the listing. The listing is not live yet, so I will link my shop, and then later on next week, once I've actually publicised the listing, then I will add the link for that down below, and then you can just check out all the details. It's a digital file, so it's sent immediately. So yes, we're gonna get into all of my notes now, and then we'll move on to the actual spreadsheet. So the first thing is whether you are registered and insured. This plays quite a big part in it, because if you're not a registered baker, for those of you that don't know, you can only charge for ingredients. So like I'll get into in this costing spreadsheet, if something costs you £10 to make, you can only charge that. You can't charge for time because you're not a registered business. You do not have insurance, so if something goes wrong, things like that, allergens are very serious. So if something went wrong and someone had an allergic reaction and you're not a registered business, then yeah, you can't be charging more. And it also puts other people out. You want to make it known if you're not registered, unfortunately for you, because a lot of people will be asking for quotes, and unregistered bakers may say, oh, I'll make this cake for 20 quid and I would be making it for 55, and then someone will say that I'm expensive when I'm not. I'm just registered, I'm insured. Insurance can be anywhere between £8 a month and 15, depending on how much cover you have. I'm going to be upping mine. It's currently £11.50 per month, which is quite a lot. So I have to consider that, and like my utilities for using the oven, like my rent that I pay, all the electricity that you're going to be using by baking these ingredients, that all comes into it. And like wear and tear on your appliances because you're using things a lot. So that all comes into it, and if you are registered and insured, then you can consider all of those things. You do not have to worry, because I've had a couple of people mention it. So you don't have to worry about your food hygiene rating. If you are awaiting inspection, I would make that known, because then no one has to think, oh, is she registered? Is that why she hasn't got one? So you can post either on your story on Instagram, or like on Facebook. You could say, oh, so exciting, awaiting inspection, I'm fully registered and insured. And then at least people know, oh, she is registered. And then they can also know that you are awaiting your hygiene rating. If you do have a hygiene rating, I'd recommend posting about it as well, just because it puts people's minds at ease. So yeah, if you don't have one, you don't have to consider that. So it's not like, oh, I haven't got one, so I can't charge as much. That doesn't come into it, I don't think, whether you are registered and insured, because that's the main thing, because like I say, you can't charge for more than ingredients if you're not. So you need to then work out an hourly rate. Mine slightly varies. I probably charge too low, but obviously I'm advising you, I'm not telling you to charge this much. I charge between £10 and £12 an hour, but it depends what it is. Smaller treats are difficult to charge more on because they are smaller. So, you know, you can't be charging £5 for a brownie because people aren't going to buy it. But you want to maybe get your cost as low as possible, and then it means that if you are only charging £10 an hour for making brownies, then at least your costs are lower, so you're not losing out on money. But cakes obviously take longer, so you want to be making sure that you are charging properly for that. I try and charge 12 on most of my like drip cakes, stuff like that, because it takes a lot more skill than a simpler design. Personally, I think that, and like if I was doing a fondant cake which had lots of times worth of making things like accents to go on it, stuff like that, then I would again charge slightly more. If you're a more experienced baker, so say, I don't know, even if you've only just registered but you've been baking for 5 years, and or you worked in a industrial bakery, so you worked for a bakery and then now you've gone self-employed, you have more leeway to charge maybe £15 an hour, because you have more experience and you're likely to have more skill, but you need to assess what your quality of bake is. So if you think, right, I would say that my baking skill is, I don't know, a 7 out of 10, it's not, the best, but it's a good standard, then you can price your bakes based on that. If you think I need to have a better finish, I need to do a bit more practice on my design and decoration, then maybe you would say, right, I'm a 5 out of 10, I need to charge slightly lower because I don't have that skill yet, from gaining experience. A lot of people, when they start out, they charge really, really low, and the thing is, you might get a lot of orders then, but usually people don't like when you up your prices later on. Like if I did it after about 2 months, but I said, like, I've increased my prices because I've now been working a little longer, I've got more experience, and no one minded, but you have to do it sooner rather than later. Like the first 2 months I was average prices, and then I went, right, I need to be charging more on this item, this item, this item, which was mainly cakes, that I was undercharging on. So then I upped those prices, obviously worked out my costs and everything, and then I mentioned it to someone because they had actually come back for another cake for the 3rd time, and they were completely fine about it because they were happy that my cakes were worth that money. But yeah, you want to make sure that you're not doing it maybe a year in. So you don't want to be charging £20 for a cake and then a year in you go, right, I think I'm worth 55 because someone has told me that I'm worth 55. Because your customers are going to be like, wow, that's double, So you want it to seem calculated and like there is a reason behind it. So yeah, it's completely up to you in terms of your hourly rate. I wouldn't recommend charging any lower than minimum wage, which is £8.70, I believe. So, because I mean, I see people like when you see a cake for £20. If that takes you 3 hours to make and you're charging a fiver for ingredients, then that's £5 an hour, but it's likely to be less than that because your ingredients wouldn't be £5. So yeah, you want to make sure that you're not undercharging, because unfortunately you will end up sort of running your business into the ground because you're not making enough profit to actually live and pay your bills and costs and outgoings, everything like that. So yeah. Then the next thing, you want to work out whether you want to charge profit separately. Some people, they work out the cost of the ingredients, then they add their hourly rate, and then they add 20% on. I don't currently do that, just because the current climate. I'm trying to sort of appeal a bit more. I haven't done that since I upped my prices, because I was quite happy with the hourly rate that I was charging, and like the finished cost that I was getting, the finished like price that I was charging. But if you're charging maybe for 3 hours, then you might add more profit on. It depends how many hours you're charging per cake you make. Because if you're saying it will take 3 and then it might take 3 hours and a half, but you've slightly undercut on your hours, then that 20% would cover it. But yeah, I don't currently add 20%. It also partly depends on the area that you're in. I find that people will travel, not taking into consideration your cost. They will travel if you're good enough. I mean, I've heard about people travelling like 2 hours to a baker just because they wanted that baker. So I wouldn't say, you know, really undercut your prices just because you're in Wales or something, you know. I don't think that comes into it too much. And if people aren't willing to pay it in your area, they will eventually. Yeah, because I think if you charge too low, then like I say, any other bakers in your area, they'll be thought to be expensive. Yeah, I mean, you'll always get someone that wants it to be cheaper than it is. You know, I could say so, a cake is £50 and someone says, oh, I don't really want to pay that. And if I went back and said, oh, it's 40, they might go, oh yeah, I'll buy it. But you kind of have to stick to your guns a bit. So we're going to start on this spreadsheet now. So I'm going to start recording. I'm going to insert it on the screen so that you can see. I don't know where to move so that I'm not in the way. But this is the spreadsheet. So at the top here we have my main bakes. So I've got a list of the ingredients and the sizes that I buy everything in. So for example, plain flour, I buy it in 1 kg bags, so I've put 1 kg, and then I've put the price per packet, which is so that when I do all the formulas, I can work out the exact amount that is needed. So say for cupcakes, well, not for cupcakes because it doesn't use plain flour, but for brownies, for example, my recipe uses 85 grams of plain flour. So I've divided 1 kg by, I've divided the price by 1 kg, then timesed it by 85, to then get 17 pence for that ingredient. So I've done that for this whole spreadsheet. This will be included in the pack. So what I'll do is all the formulas will be in there, and it will have one, like as in 1 gram possibly. And then you can insert the values that you buy everything in terms of their weight, or like pack size. So if it's like cake drums, then you can say pack of 5, or individual prices if you know them. And then you just put all the ingredients that you're needing. So depending if you make cupcakes, if you make cakes, if you only make brownies, and then you put the cost of each packet, and then along the side you start to do your calculations. So for example, there's down here for icing sugar, divide it by 3, which is 1 kg, because that's how much I use for bigger cakes. Then down here we've got cost per item. I have only started working this out because I'm actually doing a market. So if you are local, if you know where High Wycombe is in Buckinghamshire, that is where my market stall is going to be in 2 weeks. I am crazily excited. I only booked it yesterday, so that's really exciting, but I have so much to do. So it's the lifestyle show. So I need to know individual costs, because a lot of people are probably going to buy maybe 1 or 2 brownies rather than a box of 10, which is like my normal like box size is like 4, 6, 8 and 10, and then some people buy more. So I need to know the individual prices in case someone only buys 1. So we've got the name of the item, so we've got brownies, then the cost is taken from here. So 8 brownies is a full batch, that's 1 tray for me because I do quite large portions. So 8 brownies is 1 tray, the cost is £4.60. Then to work out the cost per item, I've divided it by 8. I haven't put anything in profit yet, so what you can do is you can work out how much you charge per item. So my brownies are £2.50, so you'd do £2.50 minus the cost, and then it means that your profit per item would be £1.96. So I can actually drag that down. So these aren't, they're only £2. Cupcakes are only £2. So £1.70 is what I get profit on cupcakes, and then cake pops, which take a little longer. If anything, I'd like to charge even more than £2.50, but I'm not sure that I can. That's actually upping it. They were £2 each. But I see a lot of people charging kind of like £3, £3.50 upwards, because they are really, really time consuming. But yeah, at the moment I just kind of suck it up and charge that much, because I usually do them with orders. So like if someone orders cake, they might order cake pops as well, or like there is wedding gifts and stuff. But yes, I think work out how much time it takes, because the cake pops, like I say, people have got used to that pricing. So charging £2.50, people are used to that, so I don't want to change it and then put people off. And I mean, it's a reasonable profit, just over £2 per item, so I am happy with that. And it also uses leftovers as well, so like not for people's orders, but if there are any leftovers from a cake, I can use them to make cake pops, so it's quite good for that. Or if you have an extra layer of cake, then you can use that to make someone's cake pops, because it is an untouched item. So yeah, I wouldn't use any sort of like necessarily offcuts for a new order. But if you had a whole like say 8-inch slice of cake, if you made too many layers or something, then you could use that. Then down here I have my Etsy brownies. So these aren't the actual brownie costs. I can do it, for example, a tray is £11. So we've got £11. Then Etsy takes quite a bit of fees, which is why everything is £1 more than my normal pricing. So trays are £11, then which is £1 more than my normal price for 4 brownies. However, trays are slightly smaller than my normal brownies. And then my separate brownies are £12, because they are £1.20 worth of fees, I think. And then they also use slightly different supplies in terms of like boxes and stuff like that, which are more expensive because you're posting it. So you've got extra supplies to consider, so you can't just charge the same amount, because I would normally need bubble wrap, postage labels, postage bags, allergen labels, because you have the allergen stickers, but because it's pre-packed goods, you have to have like a full allergen list, so that costs me labels to write that out. And then obviously postage, you do get charged, I think, a fee on postage. So again, I add a slight increase on the price, because the postage is £3.70 and I charge £3.70. So when they take a small fee off the postage, then that is then, the rest of it is then coming out of my account. So we've got £11 minus £1 of fees, and then we'll just put £1, and then minus the total. So we've got £11 minus 1 minus £1.50. So £8.51 of profit on the trays, for silver trays. And again, that if that takes me an hour to make, that means I'm only getting £8.50 per hour. So yeah, that is something to consider. As I'm new on Etsy, I didn't want to go too high, but I have made sure that I'm getting a reasonable profit. I'm not, getting like a fiver. And then I'm also covering fees on all of my listings, and postage is all separate so that I'm not losing any money off that. I did shop around to see, what other people's prices were. It's around £12. So I thought, well, I'll go for 11 because I'm new. And then obviously when I build up a bit of a following on there, I can then maybe put it up to 12 so that it covers more of the fees. So as you can see, there is postage bags times 100. So you just divide the cost by 100. Then there is Etsy brownie supplies here, which is just the list of this. Then there's wallets, 100 of them, and those are 6p each. I don't actually know where my formulas are. They seem to have disappeared when I copied something, by the looks of it. But you just put the price and then you just divide it by the units that you have. So if there is 100 units, then you divide it by that. So I'm assuming that those wallets were £6 because 100 of them make 6p. Then cellophane bags, boxes, 25 boxes, so that's 75p a box. The trays that you actually bake them in and post them in. So yeah, that then comes to £1.49. So I don't really know how much to go in depth on this because that kind of covers everything. You want to work out the cost of the actual individual ingredients as a total bag, as a total packet. So like I say, stalk, 1 kg of stalk. So what the cost of that is, so mine is £2.10, and then how much you use of that ingredient per order. So if you use 100 grams of it, then divide 1 kg by, what is that, 100? I think, can't work it out off the top of my head, that's why I have formulas. But yeah, you will divide it to get 100, and then you will be able to work out the cost for that. And then you can times it by the exact amount in your recipe, because you're not going to be overcompensating. So rather than saying I use roughly 200 grams, you can write I use 205 or 215, like the exact amount, so that you get the exact cost. So as you can see down at the bottom here, we have all my costs. So chocolate drip, there are a few like extra boxes on here. So the reason that chocolate drip is on here is so that I can just enter however much I need for that item. So it's £1, which is half a jar of chocolate spread. Obviously, again, you put in whatever your cost is. But chocolate spread is typically around £2. It can sometimes be less, but I prefer to over compensate, especially because it's not like it's £5 over. So if it's a couple of pence more, then it's better to do that than to undercharge. So I've put £1 on there, which is rounding it up. And then I don't usually use exactly half a jar, that's quite a lot. But if I use maybe a third, then at least I know that I'm completely covered. So then you would just add that on. So you'd say, right, it's £8.34, but then add £1 on, so it's £9.34. So that, say you round that up to £10, then it takes you 3 hours to make a drip cake. So then £10 an hour, that's £40. And then I charge 60 for 8-inch, because there's decoration, there's the cost of decoration which needs to be added on. So this is the kind of like skeleton of the item. So you then need to add on any chocolates. So if it's a loaded drip cake, you'll need to make sure that you're adding all of the costs of the chocolate that you're using, because it will be, I don't know, for example, if it's a Kinder, then you might have like Kinder eggs, Kinder bars, Kinder hippos, all of that stuff. So you need to add the costs, and you do it for a whole packet, or that's what I understand. You do the cost of a whole packet because you're having to buy a new packet to then be used on that cake. So yeah, as far as I'm aware, that's what kind of the going rate is. Everyone charges for the whole packet, and then it means that you're covered if you weren't to use those other items. So that is the spreadsheet. So that is the finished spreadsheet. I hope you found that useful. If there's anything that I missed, think I'm covering everything. It's kind of difficult because I obviously look at this and I know what everything is. So if there's anything that you don't understand, then let me know. But obviously there will be more details in the instructions if you were to buy the pack. So yeah, I will put the link to my Etsy below. And then just a little sneak peek so you kind of know. These are all going to be made a little more pretty because these are simple spreadsheets for me to use. I'm just going to make them look a bit more, you know, nice for other people. So I can't show you those two because we've got names and addresses. There's deep cleans, cleaning schedule, allergen list, temperature checks, and then there's also, where is it? There's invoice, and then there's also daily checks, so like opening and closing checks. So yes, that is the spreadsheet pack. So yeah, I hope this was useful. Like I said before, if there's anything that I missed, just comment down below, or if you want any advice on, you know, hourly rates, anything like that, then let me know. But hopefully this helped all of you that have been asking. Yeah, because I've been getting quite a few questions about costing, so I wanted to get this done for you guys. So yeah, I will see you in the next one. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. If there's anything you want me to go over, you know, like not costing related, but any other cake things that you want me to go over, again, comment down below and I'll make a video on it because yeah, I've been getting quite a lot of interest and people want me to like answer their questions, so this was one of them. But yeah, if you need any advice on anything, then let me know. I just want to say thank you because we have hit over 1,700 subscribers, which is kind of crazy to me. So I was on like 1,500 about a month ago, but since I've changed over to the baking content, loads of people have been coming to my channel, and a lot of you don't have other channels. You are just genuine bakers, and I love that. So yeah, I'm glad that everyone is finding this so useful. I didn't initially want to bring my baking onto my YouTube because I've been doing it since June, but then I recently decided to, and I'm so glad that I did. So there's going to be lots of Vlogmas content, lots of how-to videos, how to make cake pops, how to make brownies, like Christmas related ones. So there's going to be lots of Christmas content. I'm going to be uploading every other day, which is going to be a lot. So there will be about 15 uploads in December. So yes, rather than what, 12? So there's a few more, I think, and I'll still be doing all my coffee breaks. If there's any questions that you want me to answer for coffee break, because that will be going up on Sunday, then again, comment them down below. Anything that doesn't need like a tutorial, then let me know because I'll include that and answer it in the coffee break like I do every Sunday. So I will see you in the next one. Bye!